Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel and back for another preview, this time looking ahead to Saturday's home league match against Charlton Athletic. Charlton, a side who we've had some pretty good affairs with recently. But this week, to be talking all things Charlton, I am joined by Tyler. Tyler, how are we doing, mate? A content creator and big Charlton Athletic fan.
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Thanks for having me back on.
No, thank you for coming on. It's always a good chance to sit down and speak with you. Obviously, all things Charlton. And look, we'll start this as we do with every single preview. Everybody who watches these probably gets quite bored of me asking the same first question, but we always start with how's the season going. And I'll be honest, from like a personal outside point of view, I expected Charlton to be a little bit higher in the league table than where they currently are. What's kind of the view from inside the fan base?
Oh, believe me, we all thought exactly the same. Exactly the same. We all thought this would be the year that we get up the top and try and get out of this league. We've been here for a long time and have just massively, I was about to say we've underachieved, to be honest with you. We just haven't set up right at all coming into this. It's just been a disaster the last few years. And unfortunately, it's continued going into this year. It started actually really well and really promising. You know, we won the first 3 games, kept clean sheets in all of them. We looked like a really solid unit under Nathan Jones. Defensively, we looked a lot more organised. We just looked solid and difficult to beat. We were difficult to beat last season when Jones come in, albeit the results weren't there. And then the first few games, the early signs were, wow, like we could actually get the results here. Remember, we smashed Bolton apart at the Valley and we thought, wow, here we go. Like we're going to do something special this season. But we got very quickly found out because our attack was quite weak. Our attacking outlook was not very good. And we knew that the defence just couldn't hold on much longer. And we knew that was a problem even when we were winning. And sadly, that got exposed and we haven't recovered since, unfortunately. We've looked pretty inept going forward all season, to be honest. Defensively, we've had some injuries to some key players, which hasn't helped. But in theory, in general, really, it's just been another really poor start. You know, at the moment, we're under another manager who doesn't seem to know what his best 11 is. We don't know what his philosophy is. We don't really have a style of player and identity at the moment. The players don't really look bothered, like they want to play for him at the moment. And I think, to be honest, the squad just lacks general quality. We had a pretty poor summer window again. And it's just been probably another season of what Charlton fans have just been used to, really. Just a lot of optimism at the start and then just endless disappointment from then on in.
Yeah, and obviously you can very much kind of tell that from kind of talking to yourself and just seeing Charlton fans on social media and such, and kind of figuring out what their outlook on things is. And it doesn't seem to be too positive. I mean, then again, no football club's kind of Twitter fan base is positive, but obviously in this case, that very much seems to be the case with Charlton. And I just want to touch on that summer window, because obviously, as you said there was kind of this hype, if you like, very much around some of the players that you were bringing in, and obviously having Nathan Jones as manager, especially, like you say, early on in the season, some of the results and performances you were getting were really promising. But obviously, overall, it's clearly not worked. Do you think overall that it was an issue with recruitment, or do you think there is a systematic error with the manager, and that actually the players are there and capable of doing better, and he's not getting the best out of them?
I think a couple of weeks ago I would have said recruitment, but I think after Tuesday's performance against Crawley, I think it's now probably a bit of both. I think generally recruitment under our new ownership, we've been under new owners since the start of last season, and the one issue has been recruitment. We've signed, on paper, you'd think decent players for this level, but they just haven't. Unfortunately, they just haven't been good enough. Simple as, really. And this summer was no different. You know, we signed some, on paper, you'd think some top players. You know, Luke Berry was playing in the Premier League last season with Luton. Greg Doherty from Hull, you'd think was a great pickup. Matt Godden from Coventry. Alex Mitchell from Millwall, but was obviously you guys know full well. But yeah, I just think really the recruitment has just lacked massively. The ownership is willing to invest. We're just spending the money in the wrong areas. Jones brought in a lot of his players that he used to work with, and quite frankly, all of them have just not delivered whatsoever. And I wanted to have optimism for Jones to work, because we've had so many managers over the last few years, and I just hate it when our fans try and call out managers saying that they're the problem, when we've been sacking managers for like the past 6 or 7 months and have expected a different result, and it just hasn't come. This time though, with Jones, it's clear that he just doesn't have a philosophy. Like we just don't. I don't know. I don't know whether he thinks. I don't know. It's just lost for words really. How we're stuck in this position again. It's just I don't think he knows what his starting 11 is. He doesn't know what style of play to use. There's no plan B. And it's just a combination of both of them, really, just not knowing what tactics it is and just signing the wrong players constantly. It's been like 3 transfer windows in a row now where we've spent money and haven't seen probably any decent players, maybe bar 1 or 2 that have come all right for us over the years. It's just been really disappointing.
Yeah, and of course, that's going to be kind of the biggest heartbreak, if you like, as a fan of a League One club, because you need that kind of constant conveyor belt of good players who can go ahead and get you something out. Now, I just want to kind of touch on a couple of stats points, because looking through a lot of the League One's metrics, as I like to do before most previews, I always like to kind of pick out, is there anything that makes a particular team special? Are they near the top or near the bottom on certain areas? Charlton are basically dead centre or lower mid-table on most metrics, which obviously kind of points to exactly what it is that you're saying. You're struggling to really do any area of the game right. But there is one thing. Possession won in the final third. Third in the league for that. Now, that immediately points to the fact that you guys seem to be a high-pressing team. You watch the games week in, week out. Does that stat back that up?
It does. We especially saw that at the first few games. I think that was why we were so good in the first 3 games. We were instantly on the press, and the team and most League One teams that I've seen anyway that we do that to have struggled to cope with it. And I think that's where our strength is for sure. If we put the press on and they make a mistake, we should really capitalise on it. And that's what we saw in the first 3 games. That's proven a bit more difficult with the injuries that we've had recently to some of the key players we've had. And generally, to be honest, the last few games, I haven't seen us do that for some reason. I don't know why we've kind of taken our foot off the gas a little bit, or just, I don't know. I think it just links to a systematic problem, really. There's just a bit of tension between the manager and the players, to be honest, in that front. But I think when we do it and we do put the press on, we can be dangerous, as it proved in the first few games. So I'm not quite sure why we're not doing it now as regularly as we used to at the start of the season.
Yeah, it's weird, especially like I say, if it was working, then it would seem very strange to very much kind of stop that. Now, obviously, again, everything seems to be looking quite negative, and recent form as well is also rather negative. But going into Saturday, what kind of chance do you think you've got away from home against Lincoln, who, okay, we're not on a great run of form in the league either, but you know, we know what kind of quality we've got in the squad. What are your kind of thoughts going into it?
I'm expecting another challenge. I know our record is not very good against you guys. I think either home or away, but our away record is especially poor. It has been since last season, to be honest. And I've seen that you guys aren't on great form either. I see you had a great start to the season, as probably many would expect, and you've kind of tailed off a little bit, but you're still in a better position than us. You're sitting 9th for the moment, I think, and we're 12th. So you're looking better for playoffs than we are, that's for sure. But yeah, I think you could argue it's a good opportunity for us to play you guys, because obviously you're on a bit of dip in form as well. But then again, we've only won 2 of our last 11, I think it is, in the league. So we are in a pretty horrendous run of form. And to be quite honest with you, don't really know when our next victory is going to come from. We did get a win against Burton, but if they hadn't gone down to 10 men, I don't think we would have won that game. And they were absolutely terrible. They're bottom of the league for a reason, with all due respect to Burton. But it just shows how much we're struggling at the moment. You know, we got outplayed by Crawley on Tuesday, and they fully deserved it. They played us off the park in every area of the pitch, and it's going to be very tough going up to you guys. As I said, our record against you guys at Sincil Bank is not very good, so I'm not too optimistic. I'm hopeful we can nick something out of the game, which, to be honest, I'd take with the form we're on right now. But my confidence is not too great in this group of players or the system we have at the moment.
Yeah, no, of course. And look, let's talk about 1 or 2 of those players. I think, first of all, you mentioned him earlier on. We've got to mention him, a returning player who was on loan with us last season in Alex Mitchell. How's he been getting on since coming over to Charlton?
To be honest, probably the only decent signing we made in the summer among many other players that have just underperformed. But yeah, absolute rock at the back for us. Absolutely brilliant. He's a natural leader. I can see him being a future captain of the club. And I think the whole thing about us signing a Millwall player, who of course are our arch rivals, is obviously that concern there. But I very quickly turned him into a Charlton player, and we've converted him, so to speak. But yeah, the fact that he's only 22 and he shows that much leadership on the pitch is absolutely brilliant to see. And I think he's really strengthened our defensive line, and it was a great pickup when we got him across. I was fully expecting him to go back to you guys after the season he had with you, but we managed to poach him, and I'm very happy for it. Yeah. So yeah, very happy that he's at the club, and as I said, I think he's got real credentials to be a future captain. Arguably should be captain now, because we don't really have many leaders on the pitch. He's only one of the many few players, or maybe the only player on the pitch at the moment that actually is vocal and he's commanding the defence, telling them where to go. And as I said, the fact he's doing that at the age of 22 is really impressive.
Well, I'll be honest, hearing that, and for many Lincoln fans as well, it's not going to be a surprise at all, because he very much showed shades of that last season, and obviously deserved a League One move, potentially. Well, I think it was maybe a little bit more to be expected of a top-end League One move than what it's actually turned out to be so far. But yeah, absolutely on that one. So that's obviously good to hear. Now, on Saturday, obviously, what kind of system do you kind of expect you guys to be lining up in? You say obviously Nathan Jones doesn't know his best 11 so far. Does he at least know the shape that he wants to be playing his team in?
Well, it was a back five at the start of the season, but then obviously injuries have hit us, and that seemed to not work as the games went on. And now we've gone to a back four, diamond in the middle, 4-4-2 with a diamond in midfield is what we've been playing mostly. But there's been different variations to that. For example, on Tuesday we played 3 strikers up front, which was quite bizarre and didn't work at all. I think many Charlton fans, if you asked any Charlton fan, the system that they would like to see play would be probably bog standard 4-4-2 and bring some wingers into play, because we have got some pacey wingers that could potentially offer something different, because our midfield has just been completely overrun this season. Either we bypass it completely with long balls over the top, expect a lot of long balls from our defence, that's all I'll say. Long ball up to our strikers, they'll try and latch onto it, and our midfield just gets completely bypassed. That is genuinely what our style of play is. I wish I could tell you something more interesting, but that is how we play. But we do have some, decent wingers that I hope that Jones will see the light and put them into the team, because I think they will offer something different, and that attacking outlet that we desperately need at the moment and are crying out for. But Jones doesn't like wingers, as we've very clearly seen. So to summarise, I'd say probably diamond in midfield, long ball over the top, bypass the midfield completely. Don't expect much of a battle in midfield, but there'll be some interesting battles, I'm sure, between the defence and the attacks in the long game. I think that's probably where the game's going to be won.
All right, well, that'll be an interesting one to see how we go ahead and handle that, and see whether we can keep the ball on the ground and moving it through the thirds when we have possession of it. So you're less than optimistic. You know it's going to be a tough challenge, and you're expecting a bit of long ball football. Turn that into a number. Give us a score prediction.
I think I'll stick to what I said last night on the Charlton Chronicles. I'll go with a 1-1 draw. That's probably the most optimistic I can go for. I think both teams aren't in great form at the moment. I am, like, in the back of my mind, I can see us losing. I can't see us winning the game, but I'm trying to hold on to any ounce of optimism that I have, and that is a draw. Which, to be honest with you, going up to Lincoln, 12:30 kickoff, which makes no sense to me on a Saturday, but whatever. Yeah, I'll take a point, 100%. I'll go with 1-1. Take a point and run.
Well, do you know what? I'd like to be a little bit more optimistic, but it's a 12:30 kickoff, so it has 0-0 written all over it, doesn't it? Because that seems to be how the 12:30 kickoffs go in League One. That's how both of our ones have gone so far. But no, it's going to be a great game either way, and I'm really looking forward to watching it. I hope you are as well, Tyler. Thank you so much for joining us, and everyone make sure to go and check out all of Tyler's content on all different social media platforms. All the links and everything will be online, so make sure to go and check him out. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Up the Imps.